The Shadow in Space, 770 words. The vast Krell Empire ruled over 7 star systems with an iron fist. For 300 years, no species had dared challenge their mighty fleet. Admiral Rex commanded the largest battle group in the Empire from his flagship Iron Fang. The massive ship stretched 2 kilometers long, bristling with plasma cannons and energy shields. Rex stood on his command bridge, watching the routine patrol of the Nexus system. 12 heavy cruisers moved in perfect formation around 3 supply convoys. The Admiral's 4 eyes gleamed with pride as he observed his fleet's discipline. "Sir," called Communications Officer Troy from his station, "we're picking up strange readings on the edge of sensor range." Rex turned his massive frame toward the young officer. "Explain." "It appears to be a ship, but the signature is ... unusual. Very small compared to our vessels. Maybe 300 meters at most." The Admiral laughed, a deep rumbling sound. "Probably another merchant vessel trying to sneak through our territory." "Scan it properly." Sensor operator Vale worked at his console, frowning. "The readings keep changing, sir. One moment it shows metal alloys we don't recognize. The next moment it's almost invisible to our scanners." "Put it on screen," Rex ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, showing the black void of space dotted with distant stars. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then Vale adjusted the display, and a faint outline appeared, sleek, angular, unlike any ship design in their database. "That's not one of ours," muttered Rex. "Not Krell, not any of our client species." The mystery ship hung motionless in space, as if watching the Krell formation. Rex felt an odd sensation, something he hadn't experienced in decades of warfare. Unease. "Open a communication channel," he commanded. Troy worked his controls. "Channel open, sir. Unknown vessel. You have entered Krell space without permission. Identify yourself immediately or face destruction." Silence filled the bridge. The stars continued their eternal dance, but the strange ship gave no response. "Sir," Vale called out urgently. "The ship ... It just vanished from sensors." Rex's eyes widened. "What do you mean, vanished?" "Gone, sir. No energy signature, no debris, like it was never there." The Admiral studied the empty screen, his mind racing. In all his years of service, he had never encountered technology that could fool Krell sensors so completely. False alarm, he decided aloud. Probably a sensor ghost or cosmic phenomenon. Continue patrol. But deep down, Rex knew something important had just happened. The Krell Empire had ruled through superior technology and overwhelming force. If another species possessed stealth capabilities beyond their understanding, it could change everything ours passed without incident. The supply convoy moved toward the jump gate that would take them to the inner systems. Rex began to relax, convincing himself the strange readings were indeed a malfunction. That's when the attacks began. The first explosion rocked the convoy's rear guard. Heavy cruiser Stormblade suddenly erupted in flames, its shields collapsing in seconds. Emergency. Alarms screamed across the fleet as captains demanded answers. "Report," Rex roared. "Torpedo impact on Stormblade," Vale shouted over the chaos. "No enemy contacts on sensors." Before Rex could respond, 2 more explosions lit up space. Supply ship's cargo master and steel runner burst apart, scattering debris and precious materials across the void. "All ships, defensive formation," Rex commanded. "Find that attacker." The Krell vessels spun into action, energy weapons charging, shields at maximum power. 12 of the Empire's finest warships searched desperately for an enemy they couldn't see. Then, for just a moment, the mystery ship appeared on sensors again, close to the flagship. Too close. Incoming torpedoes. Vale screamed. Iron Fang shuddered. as invisible weapons struck its shields. Warning lights flashed red across the bridge as power systems strained under the assault. "Return fire," Rex ordered. "All weapons maximum spread." Plasma bolts lanced out in every direction, lighting up space in brilliant colors. But their shots hit nothing except empty vacuum. The phantom attacker struck 3 more times, each hit perfectly placed to cause maximum damage without destroying the flagship entirely. It was as if the enemy wanted to send a message rather than achieve total victory. Then, as suddenly as it began, the attack stopped. Rex stood among the smoking ruins of his command bridge, staring at the tactical display. 5 ships lost, his flagship crippled, and no sign of the attacker. For the first time in 3 centuries, the mighty Krell Empire had been bloodied by an unknown enemy. And Rex realized with growing dread that this was probably just the beginning. Asterisk. The emergency meeting of the Krell High Command took place in the capital city of Nexarpron. The great pyramid that served as military headquarters buzzed with activity, as admirals, generals, and intelligence officers gathered to discuss the phantom attacks. Admiral Rex sat at the circular table, his report glowing on the holographic display before him. His wounds from the bridge explosion had healed, but the memory of that humiliating defeat still burned in his mind. "Impossible," declared Fleet Admiral Voss, the Empire's highest military authority. "No ship can become completely invisible to our sensors. Our technology is the most advanced in the galaxy." Defense Minister Kane leaned forward. "Yet 5 of our vessels were destroyed by an enemy we couldn't even see." "Explain that, Admiral Rex." Rex straightened in his chair. "The ship appeared to use some form of advanced stealth technology. It could vanish and reappear at will, striking without warning." General Buck, head of planetary defenses, shook his massive head. "Stealth fields require enormous energy. Even our experimental cloaking devices can only hide small fighters for minutes at a time." "This vessel maintained invisibility for hours," Rex replied grimly. "And its weapons? They penetrated our shields like they weren't even there." Intelligence Chief Maya activated her datapad. "We've analyzed the debris from the destroyed ships. The weapon signatures don't match any known technology in our database. The torpedoes used some form of exotic matter we can't identify." Uncomfortable silence fell over the room. For centuries, the Krell had maintained dominance through technological superiority. The idea that another species might possess better weapons was almost unthinkable. "What about the ship's origin?" asked Minister Kane. "Surely we can track where it came from." Maya shook her head. "That's where things get even stranger. We detected no jump signatures, no warp trails, nothing to indicate how it arrived in our space. It simply appeared." Admiral Voss stood and paced around the table. "Have there been other incidents? Other reports of mysterious ships?" 7 confirmed sightings across 4 different systems," Maya replied, consulting her files. "All describe similar vessels, small, angular, impossible to lock onto with targeting systems. And all of them vanished before we could respond," added Rex bitterly. General Buck slammed his fist on the table. "Then we increased patrols, double our fleet presence in every system." "With what ships?" Moss demanded. "We lost 5 vessels in 1 encounter. If this enemy can strike anywhere without warning, our entire fleet could be picked apart piece by piece." The room fell silent as the weight of their situation became clear. The mighty Krell Empire, rulers of 7 star systems, faced an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't track, and couldn't fight. Maya cleared her throat. "There is one other detail. Communications intercepted some of the Phantom ship's transmissions during the attack." "You didn't mention this before," Rex said sharply. "Because it doesn't make sense. The transmissions were in an unknown language. But our computer analysis suggests they originate from a species we've never encountered. She activated the holographic display, showing wave patterns and frequency analyzes. Based on the vocal patterns, we believe these beings are smaller than us, possibly bipedal, with different atmospheric requirements. But here's the puzzling part. Some of the transmission fragments suggest they call themselves humans. Admiral Voss frowned. Humans? Never heard of them. Are they in our stellar cartography database? No, sir. No record of any species by that name anywhere in known space. Defense Minister Kane stood up. Then where did they come from? How did they develop such advanced technology without us knowing about it? Rex studied the data streaming across the display. What if they're not from our region of space? What if they come from beyond the rim, from star systems we've never explored? Impossible, Buck declared. We've sent scout ships to every system within 100 light years. There's nothing out there but empty space and dead worlds. Maya manipulated the display, showing a three-dimensional map of known space. Actually, there are gaps in our exploration. Regions too dangerous to survey due to radiation storms, gravitational anomalies, or other hazards. You're suggesting these humans evolved in some cosmic wasteland? Voss asked skeptically. I'm suggesting we don't know everything about our galaxy, Maya replied quietly. The meeting continued for hours, but no clear strategy emerged. How do you fight an enemy you can't see? How do you protect an empire from attackers who can appear anywhere without warning? As the session ended, Rex lingered behind, staring at the tactical displays. Somewhere out there, the Phantom ship was still hunting, and the Krell Empire, for the first time in its history, was afraid. Captain Dale sat in the cramped command center of the human vessel Silent Strike, studying the tactical displays with satisfaction. The ship's stealth systems hummed quietly around him, keeping them invisible to Krell sensors as they drifted through enemy space. Status report, he requested calmly. Lieutenant Lee, the ship's tactical officer, consulted his console. 7 successful strikes completed, sir. We've destroyed 18 Krell vessels and damaged 12 more. No casualties on our side. Navigator Paul looked up from his station. The Krell are changing their patrol patterns. They're grouping their ships in larger formations and avoiding the outer rim territories. Dale nodded approvingly. Good. Fear is our greatest weapon right now. They can't fight what they can't understand. The Silent Strike represented humanity's most advanced technology. Only 300 meters long, it was tiny compared to Krell battleships, but what it lacked in size, it made up for in capability. Its hull was constructed from metamaterials. That could bend electromagnetic radiation around the ship, making it virtually invisible. The quantum drive allowed it to appear anywhere in space, without the energy signatures that marked traditional faster-than-light travel. Sir, communications specialist Anne called from her station. We're receiving a transmission from command. Put it through, Dale ordered. The voice of Admiral Gray filled the command center through encrypted channels. Captain Dale, this is Admiral Gray. What's your status? Mission proceeding as planned, Admiral. The Krell are completely confused and increasingly desperate. They've lost nearly 24 ships to our Phantom strikes. Excellent. Intelligence reports that their high command is in emergency session. They still don't know who we are or where we come from. Dale smiled grimly. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment. Hidden in the dangerous Void Nebula, Earth's colonies had developed technology in secret, while the Krell Empire believed itself the supreme power in the galaxy. What are our next orders? Dale asked. Phase 2 begins now. We need you to capture one of their command officers alive. Intelligence wants to interrogate a high-ranking Krell about their fleet dispositions and planetary defenses. Lieutenant Lee frowned. Sir, that means boarding action. We'd have to drop our stealth field and engage directly. I'm aware of the risks. Admiral Gray's voice crackled through the comb. But we need that information before we can proceed with the full invasion. Can you do it? Dale studied his tactical display, showing Krell ship movements throughout the system. There's a supply convoy heading through the outer belt in 6 hours. Light escort, probably just 2 cruisers. We could take them. Negative. We need someone with access to strategic information. Fleet Admiral Rex is commanding a patrol group near the gas giant Helios. Intelligence confirms he has command codes and battle plans. The bridge fell silent. Attacking Rex's flagship would be far more dangerous than hit-and-run strikes against supply convoys. Understood, Admiral. We'll make it happen. Good hunting, Captain. Earth is counting on you. The transmission ended, leaving the crew alone with their thoughts. Paul plotted a course toward Helios, while Anne monitored Krell communications for updates on Rex's position. Captain, Anne reported, I'm picking up increased chatter from the Krell fleet. They're discussing something called Operation Iron Net. Can you decode it? Partially, sir. It appears they're planning some kind of trap. They want to lure our ship into a specific location and surround it with overwhelming firepower. Dale laughed. They're welcome to try. They can't trap what they can't see. Lee pulled up sensor readings of Rex's formation. 12 heavy cruisers, plus the flagship. That's a lot of firepower, even for us. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, Dale replied. Besides, we don't need to destroy them all. Just grab Rex and get out. The silent strike changed course, its quantum drives propelling it through space without leaving any trace. The crew made final preparations for what would be their most dangerous mission, yet hours later, they reached the Helios system. The gas giant dominated the view screen, its swirling orange clouds lit by the light of twin suns. Rex's fleet moved in precise formation around the planet's outer moons. Stealth field at maximum, Dale ordered. Take us in close. I want to study their defensive patterns. As they drifted closer to the Krell formation, Anne suddenly looked up from her station with alarm. Captain, I'm detecting some kind of energy grid between their ships. It looks like they're using modified sensor arrays to create an overlapping detection field. Dale studied the tactical display with growing concern. The Krell were learning to adapt. But humanity hadn't come this far to be stopped by clever tactics. Then we'll have to be more clever than they are, he said quietly. Admiral Rex stood on his command bridge, watching the sensor displays with grim satisfaction. Operation Iron Net was finally in place. 12 heavy cruisers arranged in a perfect sphere around his flagship. Their modified sensors, creating an overlapping detection grid that should reveal any cloaked vessel within 50,000 kilometers. Grid is stable, sir, reported Sensor Chief Vale. If that phantom ship comes within range, we'll see it. Rex nodded, but kept his doubts to himself. The human vessel had proven remarkably elusive so far. Still, this trap represented the best tactical thinking in the Krell Empire. Sir, Communications Officer Troy called out. We're receiving reports from the outer patrols. 3 more supply convoys have gone missing in the past day. These humans are getting bolder, Rex muttered. They're attacking deeper into our territory now. Defense Coordinator Max studied his displays. Intelligence suggests they're testing our response times. Every attack has been perfectly timed to avoid our patrol ships. Rex felt a chill run down his spine. The enemy seemed to know their every move before they made it. Max, run a full security sweep of our communications. I want to know if someone is feeding information to these humans. As Max began his security protocols, Vale suddenly straightened at his sensor station. Sir, I'm detecting a faint distortion in the grid. Section 7, approximately 30,000 kilometers out. Every eye on the bridge turned to the main display. Rex studied the readings carefully. Unlike previous encounters, This time they had advance warning. "Battle stations," he ordered calmly. "All ships, prepare for engagement. Target the distortion and fire on my command." The 12 cruisers adjusted their positions, energy weapons powering up. Rex felt his pulse quicken as he prepared for the first direct confrontation with humanity's phantom ship. "Distortion is moving," Vale reported. Wait, sir, the readings are getting stronger. The ship is becoming visible." On the view screen, the sleek outline of the Silent Strike slowly materialized, its stealth field flickering like heat shimmer before finally dropping completely. "There you are," Rex whispered. "All ships open fire." Dozens of plasma bolts lanced through space, converging on the human vessel. But at the last moment, the Silent Strike seemed to dance sideways with impossible agility, avoiding the mirage entirely. "How did it move like that?" demanded Max. "No ship can change direction that quickly." Before Rex could answer, the human ship fired back. Twin beams of coherent energy struck Cruiser Stormguard, punching through its shields like they were made of paper. The massive Krell warship exploded in a ball of flame. "Impossible," Rex roared. "Their weapons shouldn't be that powerful." The Silent Strike continued its deadly dance, weaving between the Krell ships with graceful precision. Each time it fired, another cruiser died. The trap that was supposed to capture the Phantom had become a slaughter. "All ships, close formation." Rex commanded desperately, "Don't let it get between us." But the human vessel was already inside their defensive sphere, moving with a speed and maneuverability that defied physics. Rex watched in horror as half his fleet was destroyed in minutes. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of finishing off the remaining ships, the Silent Strike suddenly accelerated straight toward Rex's flagship. Evasive maneuvers. Max shouted. Too late. The human ship struck the Iron Fang's forward hull with precise force, not enough to destroy the massive vessel, but sufficient to breach the outer armor. Emergency alarm screamed as atmosphere vented into space. "Hull breach on Deck 5. Vale reported. "Emergency force fields are holding, but barely." Rex felt the deck vibrate under his feet as something attached to their hull. "They're boarding us," he realized with shock. The idea was almost absurd. In centuries of warfare, no enemy had ever dared attempt to board a Krell flagship. Their ships were too heavily defended, their corridors too well protected. But as Rex would soon learn, humans specialized in doing the impossible. Security teams to all boarding locations. He commanded, "Repel boarders." Through the ship's internal communications, Rex could hear the sounds of battle echoing through the corridors. Energy weapons firing, explosions, and the distinctive war cries of Krell, warriors meeting their enemy face to face for the first time. Max coordinated the defense from his station. Security Team Alpha is engaging the intruders near the forward airlocks. They report the humans are using some kind of advanced combat armor and energy weapons. "How many of them?" Rex demanded. "Unknown, sir. Maybe a dozen, possibly fewer. But they're cutting through our defenses like—" Max paused, listening to reports from the security teams. "Sir, Team Alpha has been eliminated. The humans are moving toward the command section." Rex realized with growing dread that these mysterious enemies weren't just technologically superior. They were coming for him personally. The corridors of the Iron Fang echoed with the sounds of battle as captain. Dale led his boarding party through the massive Krell flagship. The human combat team moved with deadly efficiency, their advanced armor protecting them from enemy fire while their energy weapons cut through Krell defenses. "Target is 3 levels up," reported Sergeant Stone through the comm system. "Intelligence. Confirms Admiral Rex is on the command bridge." Dale paused at an intersection, checking his tactical display. Red dots marked Krell positions throughout the ship, while blue icons showed his own team's progress. "Resistance is lighter than expected. Either they're regrouping for a final stand, or they're not as tough as their reputation suggests. Lieutenant Park, the team's technical specialist, worked to override a security door. Their technology is more primitive than we expected, sir. These security systems are at least 50 years behind our current capabilities. The revelation didn't surprise Dale. Humanity had been forced to innovate rapidly during their isolation in the Void Nebula, while the Krell had grown complacent through centuries of unchallenged dominance. Doors open, Park announced. The team advanced through empty corridors toward the ship's command section. The Krell had built their vessels on a massive scale, with ceilings high enough to accommodate their large frames. To humans walking through, the Iron Fang felt like exploring a giant's castle. Contact ahead, Stone warned, raising his energy rifle. A squad of Krell warriors appeared at the far end of the corridor, their plasma weapons already charging. The aliens stood nearly 3 meters tall, with thick armor plating and 4 eyes that glowed with rage. For the Empire, the lead Krell roared, opening fire. Dale's team took cover behind a support pillar as plasma bolts seared the air around them. The humans responded with precise shots from their energy weapons, each beam finding gaps in Krell armor with deadly accuracy. The battle was brief but intense. Within minutes, the corridor fell silent, except for the hum of ventilation systems. Clear, Stone reported. But that was too easy. They're definitely setting up something bigger. Dale checked his mission timer. They had been aboard the Krell ship for 27 minutes. Much longer, and enemy reinforcements might arrive from other vessels in the fleet. The team reached the final security checkpoint before the command bridge. Park worked quickly to bypass the electronic locks, while the others maintained watch. "Sir," Park said quietly, "I'm detecting a lot of energy signatures beyond this door. They've got their entire command staff waiting for us." Dale smiled grimly. "Good. That means Rex is definitely in there. Prepare for heavy resistance." The security door slid open, revealing the vast command bridge of the Iron Fang. Dozens of Krell officers manned battle stations, while Admiral Rex stood in the center, his massive frame silhouetted against the starfield, visible through the main viewports. "So," Rex called out in accented English, "the mysterious humans finally show themselves." "You're smaller than I expected." Dale stepped forward, his energy rifle trained on the Krell Admiral. "Admiral Rex, you're coming with us. Your Empire's reign of terror ends today." Rex laughed, a deep rumbling sound that echoed through the bridge. "Surrender to creatures half my size? I think not." At Rex's signal, the Krell bridge crew opened fire. Plasma bolts filled the air as Dale's team took defensive positions behind control consoles. The humans' superior armor and weapons gave them an advantage, but they were badly outnumbered. "Stone, Park, secure the Admiral," Dale commanded, while returning fire. "I'll handle the others." The battle raged across the bridge as humans and Krell fought at close quarters. Despite their size disadvantage, the human soldiers moved with speed and precision that their enemies couldn't match. Rex himself proved to be a formidable opponent, wielding a massive energy sword that could slice through human armor. But Park managed to hit him with a neural disruptor, sending the huge alien crashing to the deck. "Target secured," Park reported as he slapped restraint cuffs on the unconscious Admiral. Dale looked around the smoke-filled bridge. Most of the Krell crew was dead or wounded, their command center in ruins. Through the viewports, he could see the remaining cruisers holding their positions, afraid to fire on their own flagship. "Time to go," he ordered. "The silent strike is standing by for extraction." 20 minutes later, the human ship detached from the Iron Fang and vanished into space, leaving the crippled Krell fleet behind. In the ship's detention cell, Admiral Rex slowly regained consciousness to find himself a prisoner of the species his empire had never known existed. The interrogation that followed would reveal the locations of every Krell military base, the strength of their fleets, and the weaknesses of their planetary defenses. Within months, the full might of humanity's hidden fleet would emerge from the void, nebula to claim their rightful place among the stars. The age of Krell dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun.